Me?
Yeah.
I do.
Awesome. Well, I love this wine, so I'm glad that it was our first wine of the evening tonight. So we are going to wait for everyone to join us this evening. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Virtual Vino with DMV Distributing. Devin in the background here, along with my coworker, Alex. We do have up on the screen right now where you can get all four of the wines that we're going to be showing off this evening. Paul's Wine and Spirits and Liquor Locker in Hagerstown, Maryland. Paul's Wine and Spirits is located in Chevy Chase and/or Washington, D.C. So thank you so much to all of our giveaway sponsors, Firefly Farms Cheeses and Choquette Chocolates. Hello. Cheers, Alex. Thanks so much for joining me once again here on Virtual Vino.
Really, anytime.
Absolutely. Now, I know we have a great lineup tonight of not only wines, but we also have a great special guest that's going to be joining us in just a few minutes. We've had Bryce on a couple times before here on Virtual Vino, and we're going to be showing off a South African wine tonight. So hopefully you all that are joining us tonight did get a chance to pick up one, if not all four of the wines that we're going to be showcasing this evening. I can tell you already that pre-gaming with the Backsberg Chenin Blanc, it is absolutely delicious. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. Everyone here has been treating themselves already. So it's absolutely fantastic. Cheers, Tanya. Thanks for joining. Hi, Jenna. Thanks for joining once again. Just remember, guys, as always, please let us know if you're drinking along with us. If you have any questions, comments, even any random thoughts throughout the video, we're here to have fun on a Friday evening with all of you. So please let us know if you're having fun out there. Once again, if you are drinking the wines with us, send us pictures, tag at DMV Dist. Tanya, I hope you got some of these wines. You would love the Chenin Blanc. Even the Paxis Rose afterwards, fantastic. And we have 2 reds to follow. Hi, Angela from the library. Cheers, Gina. Now, Alex, how has the quarantining-esque been treating you over there on the East Coast?
It's probably a little bit more tenuous, only because we have so many people coming through going to Ocean City. They tend to stop all along the way to go to stores, grocery stores and things. So, we see a lot of out-of-state tags in the parking lots, New York, New Jersey.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I also get up to Deep Creek quite often, so I have a lot of stores, restaurants up there, and they've been seeing the same. So as long as everyone's staying healthy, staying safe, drinking vino.
That's the cure.
We don't mind. Exactly. It might be. Who knows at this point? Well, Alex, once again, thanks so much for joining tonight. Obviously, we rarely get to see each other because we're on opposite sides of the state. So it's great to see your face and drink some awesome wine with you. Yes. Now, if you can tell everyone before we bring Bryce on a little bit about yourself. Obviously, Alex is located on the East Coast of Maryland, whereas I'm way out here in the West Coast. So I have more cows over here, and he's got the horses on the beaches over there.
That's right. I keep forgetting about them. So yeah. I'm on the Eastern Shore. Everyone else in the state is on the Western Shore. So it doesn't matter if you're in California. It doesn't matter if you're in Ohio. It doesn't matter if you're in Deep Creek. You're the Western Shore. So over here, it's a little bit slow. I will say that it's because there are people who don't want to go to the resort areas, but it's been good from the standpoint of seeing people occasionally that I haven't seen in a while. I'll run into them, and it's like old home week because I haven't seen them in months. So that's kind of fun to get up with people and talk to them. So I've been with DMV for a little over 2 years, and been on the Eastern Shore the whole time. I love DMV, absolutely love it. My area extends all the way to the beach, all the way to Delaware, all the way to Virginia and the Bay Bridge. So that's me. And if you come over here, by all means, look me up. I'll be glad to have a glass of wine with you. I'll stay 6 feet apart, but I'll have a glass of wine with you.
Well, you know, I sure will eventually, Alex. Once again, thanks for joining. I see Gigi over there from the Tecumseh. Hi, Gigi. Hi, Lori, also from the Tecumseh. I miss my mini Tecumseh family from a few months ago. I hope you all enjoy. I hope that you got a few of these wines to enjoy with us this evening. Now, we're going to get the party started tonight. Remember, comment, ask us questions, all video long. We're about to bring Bryce on. But remember also after the video, not only do we have giveaways from Choquette Chocolates and Firefly Farms during our live stream, we also have one afterwards where we have our poll. So the poll is going to be put on DMV right after the video here. Make sure that you vote for your favorite wine of the week. And that'll give you an additional chance to win a 5-pack of delicious Choquette chocolates. Now, those of you that do win the giveaways, make sure that you message us your email address as well as your address to the DMV messenger here. We're trying to get with all of our giveaway sponsors. Make sure you guys get those giveaways. Remember, they're going through some weird COVID stuff as well. So be patient with them, but we're going to get everyone their fantastic giveaways. I can't wait to get some chocolates eventually, too. I hear that they're absolutely delicious. Danielle, hello. Dan. Hi, Dan. I hope you got a bottle of this. If you didn't, run up to Barry's apartment and get one. All right. So without further ado, we are going to bring on Bryce here. Now, this is his third time, I believe, here on Virtual Vino. Bryce is absolutely a great person and very well educated, knows a lot about wine and especially South African wines, which we're going to talk a lot about this evening because our first wine is made in South Africa. Hello, Bryce, and thanks so much for joining once again. Cheers.
Cheers. Hey, Devin. Hey, Alex. Good to be here again.
Good to see you.
Great to see you. Now, Bryce, at the beginning here, can you tell everyone your role with Marquee Selections before we even start talking about the wine, just real quick?
Absolutely. So, yeah, my name is Bryce Gillespie. I handle national sales and marketing for Marquee Selections. Marquee is a small little family-owned importer. They're based in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm coming to you all the way from Portland, Oregon. It's where I'm based. So, Alex, you're on the eastern shore. I'm on the western shore. We import, let's say, it's about 6 wineries from around the world. 2 from France, an Italian, a Chilean, Argentinian, and then the South African wine that we'll be tasting tonight, the Backsberg. Marquee's been importing Backsberg since 2012, and very, very nice job done for the winery. Currently represented in about 15 markets throughout the US, doing really well. And the Chenin is arguably our best performer in the US. So to have it now here with you and Alex tonight is phenomenal, and I'm super happy to be here.
Well, as always, it's great to see your face. Now, I know that all 3 of us already have our Chenin Blanc poured, so hopefully those of you that are home joining us tonight, or even if you don't have this wine yet, once you hear about it, you're going to want a bottle. So remember that all the wines that we feature on our Virtual Vino with DMV, they are all available in stores around Maryland and DC, at the very least here. So if your favorite store doesn't carry this Backsberg Chenin Blanc, just ask them to carry it. Tell them to contact DMV and we will definitely help you out. Trust me, after this video, especially if you haven't tried it yet, you'll want to, and it'll become one of your favorite summertime wines. It's definitely one of mine.
Yeah, don't ask the store, tell the store.
Just tell. Just get it. And bring pictures in. I have done that so many times in my life. I'm surprised I haven't been kicked out of stores before. All right, so to get started with the Chenin Blanc, we've all got our glasses. We're going to hear a little bit about the Chenin Blanc from Bryce, and then those of you that have this wine, let us know your thoughts as well.
Cool. So, yeah, Chenin Blanc, quintessential South African. The grape itself is originally from the Loire Valley in France, but honestly, today, the most planted area is in South Africa, the most produced is in South Africa, and the best quality production comes from South Africa. It's a fantastic grape. It's got the reason why it's the most planted in South Africa is because of its versatility. It can be used in a number of different styles in wine alone, but South Africans love their brandy, love to drink brandy, and Chenin Blanc is often used as the base wine for distilling brandy. And that's arguably, or not arguably, it is why it is the most widely planted white variety in South Africa is for the brandy production. What you have here with the Backsberg Chenin, I see Gary made a comment here about it being a beautiful Chenin. It's not bone but dry, but very food friendly. That's exactly what we go for. It's like, I like to describe it, I think Devin and Alex, when I first pitched it to you guys, it's a beautiful segue kind of between Pinot Gris, Chardonnay, and Sauvignon Blanc. It like hits all the crossroads. You've got really nice balance, beautiful acidity, nice freshness, little touch of fruit that comes through. And that's quintessential Backsberg. It's just not too complicated, very easy drinking, making quality wine an everyday pleasure.
Now, Bryce, I know that Backsberg, since 2006, is a carbon neutral winery. Can you explain to everyone what a carbon neutral winery consists of?
Sure. So, I mean, every business around the world, even ourselves as humans, we create carbon emissions. Now, a carbon neutral business, or in our case, a carbon neutral winery, means that we have put a number of initiatives in place to either reduce our carbon emissions that we put out or to offset them through other programs on the farm or the winery itself. So Backsberg, as you rightly mentioned, since 2006 is certified carbon neutral, but for a number of years before that, we're putting programs in place to offset our carbon emissions. Now, one of the ways you can offset your carbon emissions is by buying credits from other businesses that offset their carbon emissions by quite a long way, that they're able to sell off their credits. Backsberg does not do that. They have a number of things in place to offset their emissions through a variety of programs, like the biggest one is planting trees. We have smaller vehicles on the farm that go around, so we don't have like big pickup trucks or big SUVs that go through. It's a lot smaller trucks that cruise through the vineyards. We have a lot of the machines will use biodiesel. We have LED lighting throughout the cellar, so we don't have to rely too much on electricity within the cellar. We have a very cool thing that happens in the winery itself as well, where we don't use electricity to cool the water that cools the tanks when the wine is fermenting. We have a biomass boiler that, through a heat exchange process, burns excess wood chips that we get from a local sawmill and converts that into energy that we use to cool down the water that is to chill the tanks during fermentation. So anyone who's been in a cellar knows it gets pretty hot in there, and fermentation temperature is vital to get good wines. So that's really, really cool that we don't have to rely on that much electricity through that. We have a big water conservation project on the farm as well. There's a couple of buildings that have rather large sort of flat roofs where for many years rainwater would just run off. So we built gutters to catch that water. So we catch all the excess rainwater that comes off the roof like that. A large portion of our vineyards as well are planted to, this is going to get super geeky and boring maybe for some people, but a really cool trellising system. So the way that the vines are planted, it's not your kind of traditional vertical shoot positioning where the vines are straight up. It's called the lyre system, where it's the vines are kind of lined up and they send the canopy outward like that. Called sun worshipping arms. So what that does, in the words of our third generation owner, Michael Back, is it provides the same amount of factory floor within the vineyard without having the tractors have to go up and down every single row. So you're getting the same amount of output that you would get from normal shoot positioning, but now our machines are only going through every second row of vines. So we have less soil compaction, which allows us to take care of the vineyards a lot easier. We don't have as much stuff going into the vineyards, and we're not using as much gas to get the tractors through back and forth from the vineyards. So all of this kind of combined in conjunction with this massive, massive tree planting program that we have going on every year, where every year we have thousands of trees planted both on our estate and in the local community. All of this kind of like combines together to completely offset, in fact, actually take us into the negative of our carbon emissions that Backsberg is putting out. And this is verified through a number of bodies that come and certify us and do an audit, sometimes every year, but I think it's every second year is the requirement that we have it done. I know that was very long. I hope everyone was drinking wine while I was saying that.
No, I absolutely love that, Bryce. Thanks for sharing. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about their conservation efforts there at Backsberg as well. Now, those of you that are drinking the wine, I do want to mention how amazing the wine both tastes and smells. So for those of you that have it, you will notice a really light peach and pineapple aroma. I think even pairing this wine with any of your summer barbecues is going to be great, but especially with salads, vegetables. I absolutely love poultry, so anything with chicken in it, I'm there. But remember, pair your Chenin Blanc with any of those things. Now, Bryce, one of the most interesting things that I saw was the fact that they're now making lightweight bottles at Backsberg. And I have over here kind of playing with mine, but I feel like I need to drink more of my rosé that we'll get to next to kind of, but you can feel the difference even in the bottles. And I know that what do they make them out of to make them, a lighter weight?
No, so I actually completely forgot to mention that when I was talking about the carbon emissions. So it's still glass. It's just a different style of bottle. So, I mean, I forget the exact weights, but I think it's a good 100 grams, potentially even 200 grams lighter than your traditional bottles. And how that came about and the decision to do that was when we were talking about, when I say we, I wasn't there then, but when the lead up to becoming carbon neutral, the discussion centered around Backsberg can focus on their own emissions, or they can look at their entire sort of value chain. Where are they purchasing stuff from that's coming into the farm, and where are they sending their product? So because we export to about, let's say, 26, 27 different countries around the world, we're sending boats, we're sending wines on ships, we're sending wines on planes, we're sending wines on trains, in cars. Like, there's a lot of stuff happening like that once it leaves our door. So what we wanted to do was factor in all of that, put those numbers into a spreadsheet and see how that got spat out, and then target that number as our emissions offset rather than just what we do. So lightweight bottles, when you start shipping that, if you're able to package the same amount of wine but have less weight, you're having less impact on the carbon emissions. That in turn is reducing it. And by partnering with shipping companies and freighters who are also committed to reducing their carbon footprint as well, it just plays this kind of like snowball effect on the whole thing, just really, really bringing that carbon emission way, way, way down.
Yeah, and if any of you have ever shipped a case of wine, no matter where to before, you know that it's quite costly just for one case of wine. And weight always counts. Now, Gail said to tell you thank you for the carbon neutral story.
No, it's an interesting topic, carbon neutrality. I mean, organics is very big. Organics is the glamour child of the world at the moment. I mean, everyone talks about that. Obviously, in the wine industry, we know about biodynamic wine as well. Sustainability is a term that we use a lot. So Backsberg is actually, we like to say that we're sustainably farmed. But there's a big increase coming around the carbon neutrality effort and reducing carbon emissions in terms of awareness of what people understand about that and what they're doing about going about to handle that and take care of it. So that's great to see.
Yeah. Now, Bryce, can you share with everyone then where Backsberg is located and a little bit about the history? I know we have a few great photos from Backsberg to show everyone. And one, even with the barrels, with all the different generations, of course, we'll show everyone. I absolutely love that.
So, I mean, the way, if you've never been to South Africa before, the best way I can describe it is just imagine the best place in the world, your favorite place, and just like one better than that. That would be South Africa. No, I'm joking. So South Africa, right at the tip of the continent of Africa. The map that you see on your screen at the moment, the grayish outline around there is the Western Cape. So there are 9 provinces in South Africa. The Western Cape is a province down in the southwest, so pretty much right on the southern tip of the continent of Africa. And Backsberg itself is just outside of a city called Paarl. Paarl is the original Dutch word for pearl, and it's kind of the dark red spot that you see there on the map. You'll see Cape Point's on the left, right there, that kind of hook of the bay. And if you come up and then to the east a little bit, you'll see Paarl. Now, the winery is just south of Paarl and it's kind of in the middle of Paarl City, Franschhoek City, and Stellenbosch Town. So it's like right smack bang in the middle of the winelands, and we sit on the hillside of a mountain called the Simonsberg Mountain. And the Simonsberg is what you see in this picture here. That separates Stellenbosch and Paarl. Stellenbosch is on the other side. Stellenbosch, one of the more famous wine regions of South Africa. Paarl, one of the older ones, sitting on the side, a little bit warmer, but with Backsberg being higher up the slopes of the Simonsberg Mountain, we tend to have a little bit of a cooler climate than what they get kind of in the flatlands of Paarl, which is perfect for growing wine. So about 80 hectares of planted vineyards on the farm. Elevation ranging anything from, I think it's about 200 meters above sea level at the bottom, all the way to about 600 at the top. So Sauvignon Blanc and Shiraz at the top to get a little bit cooler, Merlot in the middle, and then your Cab Sav at the bottom where it's nice and warm.
Yeah, I feel like we all need to visit there someday.
Oh yeah, and 45.
You can be my tour guide, Bryce.
Yeah, of course. 45 minutes outside of Cape Town, I think, is one thing that we kind of like. It's always our direction. Anyone in Cape Town, if you're looking for directions, they'll always tell you, well, you head towards the mountain, and that's pretty much your guide reference. Table Mountain, obviously, is the one I'm talking about there.
Gotcha. Yeah, you can eventually see signs, I hope. Now, I know if we can post a photo here of the entryway. Obviously, it's a family-owned winery. This is their 4th generation now, but now kind of 5, as you can see there.
Yeah, so this is the iconic entrance to Backsberg Wine Estate. When you drive along the road, it's called the Klapmuts Simondium Road. I know some of these names in Afrikaans can be a mouthful here in the US, but as you drive along, this kind of like arch sticks out way, and you can see it in the distance. And we've always had 4 barrels on the top there to signify the different generations of ownership. So Backsberg was established in 1916. So this year, forgive my math, I think we're 104 years old this year, currently under ownership of 4th generation proprietor Simon Back. The Back family has owned it since 1916. And in January of last year, he had a son, Eli Back. And while he was in the hospital, his dad, 3rd generation owner, climbed up and put the little barrel up there in the middle to welcome the new addition to the Back family. So when Simon and his partner Caroline returned from the hospital, they arrived to see this waiting for them. So I think everyone was very happy and touched by that.
That is the cutest story I've heard in quite a while, Bryce. So thank you for re-sharing it with everyone. I couldn't not share that with you all joining us tonight, because that's what a way to come home to, your workplace and, really your entire life and home is obviously this family owned winery, and that's just adorable. I love it.
No, it's a great story.
They should just keep that actually his barrel. They should never make it like a big barrel. He'll be like, why? Yeah, that's like fantastic though.
I'm gonna tell Simon that, yeah.
Yeah. Now, amongst the, conservatory efforts and everything from Backsberg, I know that they do have 10% of the land there saved for the fynbos that we were talking about earlier, as well as for taking care of honeybees, which I think is a great thing. A lot of wineries and even people that own businesses that really expressly depend on their land to make their production and their livelihood and money. I think that Backsberg is one of those that's kind of going above and beyond to actually take care of the ecosystem as well. So, just a few photos there, even of the fynbos that you're telling me about earlier, and the honeybees.
Yeah, so I mean the fynbos, like I was chatting with you and Alex before the time, literally translated is like fine bush. It's kind of this like rough, scraggly scrub brush that grows all over the Western Cape and the Eastern Cape. It has a beautiful, beautiful aromatic profile to it. I mean, you drive along with the windows down and you've got this kind of like fresh coastal breeze coming through. It's just really refreshing, and it's very reminiscent of that area. I mean, anyone who's been there will know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's the indigenous plants that grow there. So over the years, over the generations, you've had all these invasive species that have been coming in. And now as we become more aware of the effects that everything has on the ecosystems, we've started to pull out the alien invaders and regenerate the local fynbos. So that's why, as you mentioned, Backsberg has 10% of the land allocated for that. That 10% also serves as a greenway, like a green belt almost, for wildlife to move through. So the area where we are around the Simonsberg Mountain, there are some local big cats. Like you have a cat called the Cape Leopard, which is slightly smaller than the normal leopard that you'd know. We have lynx as well. South Africa, it's known as a caracal. Beautiful, beautiful orange cats with black ears. They're all native to the area there. And by having this kind of like allocated land, it allows them free passage to move around without being inhibited by sort of the human population, I guess. Lost my train of thought there, but yeah, the proteas that you showed there, proteas being the national flower of South Africa in some of those photos. It's also our national sport bench. So that's reverse, sorry. And on the back property, like I was telling you, we have white proteas that grow on the farm, a little bit more of a rarer subspecies, and absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I absolutely, I love all of that. Now, to get a little bit more serious here, while we're drinking our wine, everyone, now I want to talk about the effects of, unfortunately, the worldwide COVID pandemic on this South African winery, but especially how they're doing with this very controversial alcohol ban that's now in South Africa. Those of you that are joining us, you may not know of this at all, that there's actually a country that you cannot buy alcohol at in the moment for not even religious reasons or anything like that, but due to COVID. So if you can speak a little bit about that, Bryce. I do have a few questions for you as well. But for those of you that are joining us, definitely go ask questions away, because it's something very quite interesting.
Yes, it's a major contentious issue at the moment in the country. So at the beginning of the COVID outbreak, which I guess was the beginning of March, South Africa was one of the countries that reacted the quickest in locking the country down and getting everyone isolated, self-isolated, and preventing an early spread to enable them to prepare hospitals and clinics and get ready for the inevitable spread of infections that would come. So a lot of international critics and publications spoke about the quick response and praised them. I think NPR in the States did a feature on them, and it was fantastic. And as South Africans, everyone was very, very proud of the effort. Social media was ablaze with everyone praising the president for that, and it was great to be connected to a nation that was able to handle like that so effectively and so well. Part of it at the time in March was a little bit controversial in that they banned the sale of alcohol domestically as well as exports. That was huge blow to the industry. We weren't able to sell the product that enables them to make money to give wages and salaries to their employees. So now if you have a breadwinner of a family, if a company employs 5 people and they're the breadwinner and they have 5 mouths to feed, you multiply that exponentially, it becomes a very, very big thing. So immediately the wine industry took to lobbying the government, saying, listen, you can't do this, we need to be able to sell our product. So the government turned around and said, okay, we'll make an exception and we'll allow you to export your wines. We'll do export sales. So as soon as the wineries were given that, they immediately closed some deals with some export partners and got some wines into trucks and into boats. But literally, it was actually less than a week later, the government shut down exports again. So some guys had wines in containers sitting in the harbor and it wasn't allowed to move out. So, and then that continued. I think the total period for the initial ban was 2 months or just shy of 2 months. Then they lessened the lockdown. They entered into what they called level 3. And once they got to level 3, they allowed local sales of alcohol, export sales of alcohol, and on-premise was allowed to serve alcohol, the limits capacity in restaurants and bars for indoor and outdoor seating. So there was an immediate surge in June and sort of the beginning of July where people were allowed to buy alcohol again. South Africans enjoy their alcohol. They like to drink. So they went out and there were some funny videos on social media of people happily getting their wine and their beer again. And then, what is it now? 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, on Sunday night presidential address, with no forewarning to anyone, the president stood up and he announced the banning of alcohol sales domestically again. So all of a sudden, in the space of 3.5 months, the entire alcohol, spirits, and beer industry, wine industry in South Africa was revoked their ability to sell their products and make money. So now, again, to come back to the number of companies, I think in South Africa, we're looking at about 900 wine producers, independent wine producers or bonded wineries. There were thousands of grape farmers, all employing, I mean, a minimum of like, what, 3, 4, 5 people, but your sort of medium sizes are employing anything from 10 to 50. Your bigger guys are from 50 to 200 to 500 employees. Then all your hospitality, your on-premise, your bars, your restaurants, your hotels, all of the servers, the GMs, your back of house, your front of house, everyone working who have a connection to a family. So whether it's 5 jobs, but in reality, 5 jobs times 5 is 25 miles to feed, multiplied by 900 wineries, by 1,000 grape farmers, by how many hotels, by how many, you have close to 133,000 people who are out of work due to this ban of alcohol. I'm going to pull up some more hard, fast numbers here. There's a website called savemylivelihood.co.za where they've got some more information on this and how you can assist. They say here you got 1.1 million livelihoods at risk. You've got 117,000 jobs have been lost due to the suspension of alcohol sales. 19 billion rand of gross domestic product. I mean, 19 billion rand, I think, is coming out at about 2 point something billion dollars. And every week, you got about 13,000 people are losing their jobs. At the end of the day, 3 out of every 5 on-premise locations are going to have to shut down permanently at the end of this month, which is today. So that number is absolutely staggering. You've got 192,000 people who rely on those businesses for their jobs. 4% of those businesses are women-owned. 117,000 jobs again lost due to the suspension of the sales. There's got to be an alternative solution. So there are a number of industry bodies in South Africa locally at the moment protesting this, appealing to the government to allow them to sell. But at the moment, the only avenue the wineries have to sell their product is through export markets. So South Africa exports a lot to the EU, a lot to Asia, and the US is a continually big market for South African wine. So that's why kind of in the run-up to this video, Devin and Alex, I kind of mentioned that there are three steps that any American wine lover right now can take to help support South African wine. And I know it's asking a lot of you to do this, but I'm pretty sure you can do it. You can do it. 1, go to your local store, you've got to pick up a bottle of South African wine. Step 2, you've got to drink that bottle of wine. I know this is where it gets tough because South African wine is delicious, so you got to drink it. And step 3, repeat. Just do it again, and then do it again, and then do it even one more time after that. And then there's a bonus step where you can ask your friends to do it too. Just head out, buy a bottle, buy a case, try it. I promise you it's fantastic. The value, I mean, Devin, Alex, you guys are sipping on the Chenin Blanc right now. Everyone who's drinking it along with us, they know that this is phenomenal wine. So obviously I'd love for you to head out and buy some Backsberg wine, but of course, go out, try some other stuff. I mean, you've got the Kosher Brewed from Backsberg as well, but DMV carries the Tussock Jumper Chenin Blanc, the Tussock Jumper SGV. Like, these are fantastic wines. Every producer in South Africa is making amazing stuff right now. Go out, try something. You're only going to pay between sort of 10 and 20 bucks for most of these wines. They're beautiful. You'll love them. And at the same time, you'll be supporting a lot of people who are in dire straits at the moment.
And thank you so much for sharing about that, Bryce. Alex, can you even imagine if we had an alcohol ban in Ocean City area had to deal with that?
Oh, there'd be a riot.
I mean, the U.S. could not. In your comments, let us know how the U.S. would take an alcohol ban, guys. Not well. So in the meantime, what we can do is follow those 3 steps, and we'll post that on our Facebook as well. So if you forget all 3 of those steps, just kidding, you're not going to forget the steps. But we're going to post which wines that DMV brings to the DMV area for you all to enjoy to help out the South African wine industry. I mean, the numbers are absolutely staggering at this point. And, you know, even just my research the past couple of weeks about it, and even when the second ban hit, I never even knew about the first ban. So it's definitely not, a lot of people don't understand that it's even happening or what's going on there. But, you know, it's very simple to help. Obviously, our Chenin Blanc here that we're drinking this evening, and for an average price of $13.99 in store, this is a steal. And you're helping out our friends in South Africa and all of the wineries there. So that's not a bad way to help out some friends, is it? I'll drink wine for a friend any day.
Right? Of all the ways you can help, drinking wine sounds like one who can definitely do it.
Exactly. Yes, Dan, that was prohibition at one point. How'd that go?
There was an article written in Manager's Business, one of the European alcohol industry publications, where a guest article was written by a South African wine expert by the name of Michael Fridgen. And he made a comment saying that this is the most, I'm paraphrasing here, but this is the most drastic action taken since prohibition in the US. So it kind of put on the map like just how intense this actually is.
Yeah. I mean, soon you're going to end up like the US and there's going to be a bunch of moonshiners all over the place there. So watch out for that.
No, exactly. I didn't even touch on that, but I mean, the black market at the moment for alcohol sales is ridiculous. I mean, you see kind of like memes and pictures on social media of like the prices that are being charged for under the table booze. It's insane.
I had a few old family members that were thrown in prison for moonshining and stuff. So I feel like that's, if that ever happens here, hit me up, everyone. runs in the family. But no, I mean, I also read a few things where even the wineries themselves were having to guard their stashes, even their inventory, their warehouses. Yeah, Tanya, exactly, a speakeasy of sorts, because people are trying to get the wine there. I mean, distilleries, everything. They're trying to guard their inventory so when they open back up, they actually have some left, whereas people don't want to wait because they
No,
can't.
exactly. There was never really a firm reason given as to why on the initial ban, when the exports were open for 1 week, there was never really a firm reason given as to why they reinstated it after that kind of like 1 week gap. But there was a truck that was harbor bound to deliver a container of wine for export that was hijacked, and it was taken, and these guys took the spirits, an entire container, because that's how now desperate the country got to, because that black market was now so invaluable for people who were able to sell it like that.
Absolutely. I can't even imagine how much they're selling a bottle of wine for. Obviously, way over our $13.99 average for this one. If you do find it on the black market in South Africa, it's probably like $300 now. Still worth it, everyone. I'm just saying, it is
totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Yeah. Wow,
So,
Bryce.
Bryce, what is going on at the in the vineyards? I assume there's still harvesting going on. There's still manufacture of wine going on. Just you can't distribute it.
Yeah. So I mean, that was actually another scary point, because when in March, when this whole thing happened, and the government first instituted the lockdown, they had actually stopped. They actually prohibited workplace activity at vineyards. So right in the middle of harvest, winemakers received notice saying that they have to cease all operations. So I mean, you've got fruit in the tanks fermenting, you've got fruit on the vines ripening. So that's what the first lobby went out. I mean, like almost immediately, same day, guys were saying, no, we can't. This is unbelievable amounts of money that are going to be lost if this is put in place. So luckily, I think there was only a day or 2 days where guys were not allowed to work or harvest. But then luckily they made an exception, so people were able to come back. So we did have a successful harvest this year. The vineyards were taken care of, and all the fruit was bought off in time, and the wines were able to ferment, get put into barrel and for tank for aging. So that went well. And this year is actually the first year where in the previous 3 or 4 that we are back to somewhat regular yields. So I'm not sure if you're familiar, but for the previous 3 years, call it 2017, 18, and 19, South Africa went through a very, very serious drought in the Western Cape. Really, really serious. I mean, so much so to the extent that some vineyards actually died. The vineyards that were dry farmed in certain areas, they were died. There's no more wine able to be made from some of these very old, famous vineyards in the country. Luckily, as to what I alluded to earlier with Backsberg's water management program, we were able to make sure that we didn't have to suffer something like that. So we were able to get our production in, albeit at a much lower yield. This year, thankfully, back to kind of normal standard yields after a really great winter, nice wet winter. So we were very, very happy to see that. So despite that little hiccup for 2 days, great harvest, quality's looking good, very nice ripening season. We're excited for 2020. It's going to have a lot of story and history behind it too. So definitely one for the ages.
I would think so. I think once they survive all of this, it's going to taste even better, perhaps.
No, for sure. Absolutely. Anyone with a 2020 vintage is going to enjoy it. I saw a funny meme on social media not too long ago talking about all the kids in the future who are going to have to study the year 2020 in history class. This chapter is a serious one, so get ready.
I mean, I guess you could call it a serious one. I feel like there will be some other choice words as well, but yeah.
No, for sure.
Now, Bryce, we also had a question from a viewer here. What is dry farming that you mentioned?
So you have vineyards planted throughout the world, right? You got vineyards in Europe, in North America, California, Oregon, Washington, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. All of those places have different climates. Now, within those regions, you've got even small areas that have their own microclimates, and some of them facilitate different styles of farming. So if you have a lot of rainfall in an area, you might not need to irrigate your vines in order to get your fruit growth. And what some wineries or some farmers will do is they'll grow grapes without irrigating at all, even if it's slightly warmer in that particular area, because when you have less water, it's more difficult for the vines to survive. So they put a lot of effort and focus into their reproductive, for lack of a better word, instinct. So all of their focus goes into producing their fruit. So you get really, really small berries, grape berries that are formed in the clusters of fruit on these vines, and there will be only a few different clusters on that particular vine of like very concentrated fruit. So the smaller the berry, the bigger the skin to juice ratio is, and it gets super geeky here in winemaking styles. But basically what it lands up with really, really nice, high quality, concentrated, full flavored, lush wines. But again, if you don't have rainfall and you don't have irrigation built in, it comes at a cost when you have a drought.
Yikes. Yeah. No good there. We get some of our rainstorms we've had the past week. Well, Bryce, it was so fantastic to have you back on Virtual Vino. I learned so much. I hope that all of you that joined us did. I know that, even before researching in especially the alcohol ban and South African wineries, I learned probably 1,000 new things over the past couple weeks, but especially this evening. Before we let you go, I'm going to give everyone a chance to ask Bryce one more question. Those of you that are viewing, Alex, if you have another question you want to ask him, anyone out there before we let Bryce back to enjoy the rest of his Chenin Blanc and play with Cooper over there. I know Cooper's joining you, keeping you company. Once again, it was so great to have you. I hope we can have you again, and hopefully more happier times and less alcohol ban in South Africa. But we will be sharing the 3 steps with everyone. So like I mentioned, we'll be posting wines that we have.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to Maryland and seeing you guys again and hopefully getting out into the streets and seeing some of the stores. I want to say thanks in particular to Devin, I think you tagged him here, Locker Hagerstown and Paul's Wine DC, Town Center Market Riverdale. I thank you guys for carrying the wines. It's phenomenal. We really appreciate that. Devin and Alex, thank you for having me on. Always a pleasure to be here. Happy to do it anytime. Devin, thank you so much for doing all this research. I think actually right now you know more than me about the current situation. So I'm entrusting you to do step 5 on the 4-step program. Go tell more people about this.
I can handle that.
But yeah, again, thank you so much. It's always great to be here. Thank you for supporting the wines. I'm glad you enjoy them, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely, Bryce. Cheers. Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Oh, I absolutely love having Bryce as a guest, Alex. That is so interesting, though. I can't even imagine being in South Africa right now with that. I mean, they're definitely a heavy party country in some ways, but I don't know. I've been to New Orleans quite a few times, and I feel like it's New Orleans but bigger. So, oof. I am going to have to research more about the black market there. I will try and see if I can find a bottle of the Chenin Blanc and price compare it as to what it is on the black market now.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
Hopefully no Fed show up at my house being like, why are you trying to get that bottle of white wine from South Africa on their black market? But, it's research.
I can't even imagine trying to store all the wine that they're making and aging, and all of a sudden it needs to go somewhere. I don't understand the logic in not transporting it somewhere. We'll take it.
Exactly. Yeah. Just send it right here, like black market to DMV. We got this. All right, everyone. Well, we are going to move on to our second wine of the evening, the Paxis Rose. So once again, we want to thank our guest, Bryce, Marquee Selections, and the Backsberg Winery. We hope them the best through all of this. We will be sharing where you can find the Chenin Blanc. And remember, you can ask your favorite stores throughout Maryland and DC to carry this fantastic wine. Trust me, you'll want it for the rest of summer. I definitely do, but
absolutely will.
Store close by. Exactly. There are 3 steps posted right back up there for you, along with the bonus one. We'll be reminding you later. Just remember, drink South African wine, support South African wine. All right, Alex. So Alex is going to review with us the Paxis Rose. So this is one of my favorite summertime rosés to bring out, especially to show off to friends. And before we get started, I just want to say, whether you like sweet wines or dry wines, this rosé is for you.
It is. It's DFJ is one of the most well-known vintners certainly in Portugal, but up and coming in the world as well. It's only about 22 years old, which is fairly young in the scheme of things, especially for a European winery. The 2 founders have done a great job of setting up the company and distributing the wines, and now actually the winemaker is now the owner as well of the company. And the two original founders have retired and are probably sitting back drinking wine, hopefully watching this. We love Paxis wines. And as you can see from the label, you might think there are dog lovers in the crowd. It's an interesting story about Paxis, though, and it's on the back of the bottle. So please pick up a bottle and take a look at it. But the bulldog, who actually looks like he's been tasting along with us, has a significance in that one of the original owners, or one of the founders of the company, saw a game being played in the United Kingdom. It's called Bulldog. It's similar to Red Rover, which is a fairly rough game of tackle, tag, whatever you want to make it. And so the word Paxis comes from, if you know anything about Red Rover, it is the command you scream when you don't want to be tackled or tagged, or you're in the safe zone. So Bulldog was the game. Paxis is what everyone yelled when they got into a safe zone. And Dino, the original, one of the original founders of the company, decided that's what he wanted for the logo, and that's what he wanted for the name. So a little about the wine. It is, as you can see, it's a beautiful color. It is a 5-grape blend. It's Pinot Noir, which everyone knows. Touriga Nacional, which is probably the finest wine, at least from Portugal's consideration, the finest wine grape in the country. Caladoc. Caladoc is a wine grape that is actually a blend of, and I know you probably haven't heard of some of these grapes, but it's a blend of, I'm sorry, not a blend. It's a crossing of Grenache and Malbec, two grapes that I'm sure you're familiar with. The other two is Touriga Franca and Alfrageo. Again, indigenous grapes to Portugal. It is a very bright wine. It's very flowery. It's perfumey without being overly perfumey or overly flowery. It's got a nice fruity note to it too. A little bit of red fruit, maybe strawberry, maybe red raspberry. Mm-hmm. But all in all, it's a wonderful fruity on the front end, a little bit of acidity, possibly even a little bit of tannin on the back end from the Touriga Nacional, which you can compare to our Cabernet, the Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah, I absolutely love this rosé. And one thing we talk about here with DMV Distributing is our fantastic QPR, our quality price ratio. When you find this in stores, it's going to be for about $10.99 or less. But if you blind tasted this rosé, especially the drinkability and the well-balanced tannins within this very fruity rosé, it's absolutely fantastic, especially for an average price of $10.99. Yeah, Lori, about $10.99 in your local store. And remember, if they don't carry the Paxis yet there, just ask your local store to contact DMV and we'll make sure that they get it. They also have the white blend and they have the red that we featured before here on Virtual Vino. But Alex can also attest to both of those. They're so fantastic, such great wines and very easy to drink, which of course, if you're like me and, you more so drink with your friends and socially and, want to have fun and especially show off wines with them, this is a great inexpensive wine where you can afford to take over to your friend's house.
It is. And a lot of people really treat a rosé as a seasonal wine, a summer wine. And that's not the case at all. This rosé has such a great mouthfeel and such a great body. And such an expanse of flavor bursting in the mouth, you could drink it all year round. Certainly, it would go great with a roasted turkey at Thanksgiving. It's a beautiful wine to drink at Valentine's Day. It looks celebratory. New Year's Eve, certainly. So it is a seasonal wine. It's just 4 seasons.
Exactly. Rosé all day and all year, everyone. That's the new motto.
Yep, exactly.
So definitely a super great wine. I feel like my mom wants more of it. Oh, she just wants to clean. She's not even a wine drinker, but she was over here trying to have me be bartender. Enjoy. Sharing is caring. I know Kathleen's probably over there enjoying this as well, right, Alex? Kathleen, I see you. Like I didn't know you were back there enjoying this rosé, or she's still got the Blanc. Kathleen, thank you for helping. What do you think of the rosé?
Our dog just
just
went crazy.
rifled through.
Yeah.
Well, okay, the dog wanted some as well. Kathleen, it's great to see you. Thanks for helping out. Enjoy the rosé. Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, I always love to pair rosé, especially with turkey. Every Thanksgiving, I make sure I have a few bottles of different rosé to try them out. People always forget about a rosé and a very fresh, bright wine on Thanksgiving, especially once it turns November. Everyone's just nothing but red wines. But remember that these are red grapes in there, guys. So it's still a red wine. Yeah. You can still enjoy it and pair it with your holiday meals. But especially the summer, if you're a sushi lover, I love sushi and I love very spicy foods, Thai food. This rosé has a really bright acidity to it. So it's going to kind of well balance all your flavors and even the spicy foods. So barbecue time, Paxis Rosé time.
Yeah, yeah. And certainly don't forget that it's a standalone wine, a great aperitif, a great, what I like to call a porch pounder. Sit on the back porch, pour a glass of wine, and it just doesn't get any better than that.
Exactly. I read about a wine the other day where their one food pairing was to drink while you're making food. And it was a great wine to go with any food, but honestly, this is a great wine to just drink while you're making the rest of your food. And then just have a backup bottle and then drink that one with your food.
Yeah, that's, I do that all the time, but that's, I never thought about mentioning it. It's the food prep wine.
Yes. We'll come up with a really great term eventually for some wine that pairs with the prep of food. I'm going to think about it maybe after the next couple wines, it'll come to me.
Yep. Better write it down because if there are a couple of wines you may not remember.
Exactly. All right, guys. Oh, thank you, Steve. I decided that matching was not a thing this week. So this is the Thai combo that happened. Who matches anymore? It's Friday. All right, guys. Well, for those of you that have questions, let us know. Oh, Gigi, let's see here. Do you serve a particular appetizer or food with it when you make it for Thanksgiving? Lori says best with turkey and dressing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any of the light meats, like the white meats, go really well with rosé.
True. But you also have, if you think about it, the winter months are the months for oysters, at least over here in Maryland.
Yeah, I know nothing about that. Tell me.
So oysters paired with white wines is a standard, but if you have a red vinegar minuet with the oysters, which is kind of a dressing you put on, it would go fantastically with this rosé. It would stand very well to the vinegar and very well to the salty taste of the oyster.
That sounds delicious. Is that what you and Kathleen do?
Yes.
Kathleen, I'm coming for holiday. I'll bring this with. All right, guys. Well, we are going to move on to our red wines. If you all have any more questions, comments, let us know. We've had a blast so far. I'm still thinking about all that Bryce told us earlier. I think it's so interesting. I feel like I'm going to be on that all weekend researching more because that's just me. While I drink my wine, though, drink wine and research. So our next wine is going to be the Silent Oak Reserva. So, yeah, there you go.
Nope, there it is.
Gotta find it in my Virtual Vino bag back here. Now, one thing to mention, everyone, before we get started on our reds this evening, we have two fantastic, really easy drinking reds for you that are very highly rated and come at a great price in your local stores. We do have a new thing that is starting this past week. You might have seen them in your stores, but especially next week, I know I'll be getting some, and as well as my coworkers. But we now have tags on our wines that say Virtual Vino Selections. So be on the lookout in your local liquor stores for these. That means that we featured them, either they're an upcoming during that week Virtual Vino Selection, or they're going to be on a past video. So make sure you see those. There's more directions on the back as to how you can find the videos, etc. But if you even find a wine in your store with that tag on it and you want to know, oh man, I really want to learn more about that Chenin Blanc from Backsberg, which video was that in? Just message us and we'll make sure that you have the link to be able to watch it and learn more about that wine. But make sure, be on the lookout for them. They're really great. Just right on the bottle, recyclable even. Just, throw them in your recycle. We're green too, Backsberg. Exactly, Jenna. Yeah, and I mean, we've had quite a few shows. This is almost our 20th show so far. So I have to do the math. I think maybe it's the 18th. I'll count them up later and let you all know. And thank you all for sticking with us. It's great that we're able to grow and even tag our bottles in stores where you know what to come back and look at and even learn more about the wines. I know that I learn more and more every week, and it really helps me, one, appreciate my wines, but also I know more about what I'm talking about even in my stores and to friends when I go and show off wines at their houses and, be able to appreciate with them. So especially learn about your wines, and it's just going to make them taste even better.
And don't forget, if you have a question that wasn't posted on one of the previous Virtual Vinos, text us. We're on Facebook. You can call. You can certainly text your sales rep in the area. Ask them the question. Believe me, we would love to talk about our wines.
Yeah, obviously, look at us. All right. So next up, the Silent Oak. Love this one.
I do. The Silent Oak is a really nice red blend. It is a blend of. It's a blend of red grapes. One in particular is a Alicante Bouschet. Now, the Alicante Bouschet and the Touriga Nacional, again, one of the most important grapes in Portugal, the Touriga Nacional. But the Alicante Bouschet is one of my favorite grapes, and not just because it's fun to say Alicante Bouschet. It's a very different grape in that it has a red meat and a red skin. So impossible to make a white wine or even a blush wine out of an Alicante Bouschet grape, the way maybe a Pinot Noir, which is used in champagnes and so forth. You could make a clear or a white wine out of that. So the Alicante Bouschet is a red skin, red meat grape. They're referred to as tientier, which essentially means the tint, the color is red in this case. It is aged only for 3 months in oak, and that's not why it's called Silent Oak. So on the label you see a tree. The Silent Oak is actually the cork oak tree, which is one of the most important trees actually in the world, but certainly in Portugal. If in the case of the oak tree that's pictured on the front, I contacted Fuiza, the vintner, the winemaker, and she sent me some information about it. The oak tree, the cork oak that you see on the front, is actually an artist's drawing of an oak tree that was planted by the ancestors of the winemakers and the vineyard owners now. She actually texted me a picture, if hopefully you can see this, but that's the cork oak in the middle of their vineyard. It still stands. It was planted about 100 years ago. The cork oak tree is important in Portugal because, as you can tell by the name, they harvest and manufacture oak from the tree. It's very interesting the way they do it. The cork part is harvested from the bark. So it's hand harvested. It is obviously labor intensive, but when you pull the bark away from the tree and you take it off to be manufactured into cork products, the tree lives. So environmentally, it's a wonderful process. The tree lives and will regenerate the bark. And so about every 9 or 10 years, you can harvest bark again. The lifespan of the tree is about 200 years. So it will be around for a while. And it's a very important product to Portugal. Portugal is planting more and more cork oak trees just so that they're aware. They know they'll have plenty of oak, plenty of cork products and plenty of oak trees to manufacture cork products for the future. Just as a side note, most of the people know that oak trees are deciduous, that is, they lose their leaves in the fall. This particular oak tree is not. It keeps its leaves year round, so it's an evergreen.
Wow. Way to show off, Alex. I love that picture. That's fantastic. You have to share that one with me. Now, I did a video a while back, a Wine Wednesday, about the silent oak, where I researched quite a bit, especially about the label. I did not score an awesome picture of that tree, though. It's fantastic. But the Portuguese oak tree as well, and especially the cork tree, I mean, people don't understand how many uses cork has. I mean, you have sporting equipment made with cork, automotive gaskets. There are space shuttles using cork for their gaskets, floating around space right now. Flooring tiles, even your building insulation, of course, some of that has the cork in it. Craft materials. But the most important use for cork, obviously, is for your wine.
That's
To
right.
keep it nice and fresh upon bottling. But yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. And that tree is amazing. And it's really great as well that they regrow and you can get more than one use rather than cutting a tree down, making paper or whatever else, and it's gone forever.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I think that's great. Now, more about the wine, guys. Hopefully, those of you that have it with you right now are enjoying it. Obviously, our few stores that we mentioned earlier that carry all 4 of these have the silent oak, but we'll post later as well where you can find more. But remember, ask your favorite stores to carry it. This was a newer wine as of a few months ago to the DMV area, and it already got rated a 90 point by Wine Enthusiast. So really high rated wine, excellent value, really great price of an average of $12.99 in your stores. And you know what you can pair this red with? Just about anything. I have paired it with pizza. I'm a great pepperoni pizza lover, so I've definitely paired it with pizza before. But even your barbecues, your great date night, pasta nights. Kathleen, Alex make you a really great pasta dinner sometime. Pair it with the silent oak. It's very shareable. It's one of those reds where whether you hate, love, like dry reds, it's very well balanced where you can share this with just about anyone. And I absolutely love bringing out, especially to public tasting, reds like that, because I think it's great for people to try wines and not immediately the tannins just hit them in the face and then they want nothing to do with it. This is one of those very approachable reds as well, but still maintains a really high quality that's, you can't put the bottle back on.
It's a really, really nice medium-bodied wine. It is.
She's not sharing with you anymore.
My stagehand just stole my wine.
Like any good stagehand does.
Yeah, so it does have a nice fruity taste on the front, without being overwhelming. It has a nice acidity in the middle without being overwhelming. A little bit of tannin on the back. A super balanced wine. Again, just sitting around and sipping, or throw a burger on the grill. It's great with that.
Absolutely. I have become such a great burger maker recently, so I'm going to do that perhaps for the rest of this bottle this weekend.
Good idea.
All right, guys. Now we are going to move on to our fourth and final wine of the evening. It's going to be the Señorío. Now, those of you that have never drank or know what the Mencía grape is, it actually only grows in Spain and or Portugal that we were just talking about. So I can't wait to hear more about this one from Alex. A 92-point rated wine by Wine Enthusiast. So you know you're getting a great quality wine at an awesome price. And trust me, when you taste this one, you'll understand.
Yeah, exactly. The Mencía grape has been around for centuries. It was often thought to be a clone of the Cabernet Franc grape. It is not. It was proven by genetic testing that it is not. It is a deep-colored, slightly tannic wine that again goes with pretty much everything. The Mencía grape used to be, and this is probably in the turn of the century of the 20th century. It used to be a very light wine, lightweight, drink it young, didn't age well, and all of a sudden the winemakers and vintners in Portugal and Spain decided that they were going to let it sit in a different environment. So instead of being in a let's say a watery, well fertilized ground, it is in more of a environment that is stony, rocky soil that the water drains off. And when you get that, you get a grape that is more concentrated, and therefore a wine that is more concentrated and has a much bigger body. So the vineyards that are growing the Mencía grape and the vineyards that are making the wine out of it are really excited in Spain and Portugal, in this case Spain, of course, that now they're getting a wine that is a very medium, and in some cases medium to heavyweight wine. It is extremely tasty. It is a nice dark berry on the front, a little bit of acidity, and again the tannins from the grape skins mostly leads to a really, really, really nice finish. So again, the Mencía grape is something that you may not have heard of, but you certainly will in the upcoming years, and hopefully you'll run out and grab a bottle, because it is a fantastic wine.
I completely agree, Alex. Now, when I used to take this one along to public tastings, I would ask, obviously people aren't aware of the Mencía grape. They have no idea what it is. So it's great that we have this amazing example of it, especially in the DMV area, especially rated 92. So that definitely helps people grab a bottle, even just to try if you don't know how it tastes yet. But remember, always ask us. You can always reach out to us and ask. But I always asked if you love very aromatic, youthful reds, like even a Pinot Noir. If you're a Pinot Noir fan, try this wine, because it's quite similar in that it is approachable, even same with the Silent Oak that we tasted prior. But I feel like the Señorío itself just has a little bit more of a little pepper kick on the back of it, and just has a little bit more of an all around body. What's surprising to me is that this wine is 14% alcohol. So the APV is quite high considering it tastes like a medium bodied wine in just the mouthfeel. But, you know, a few glasses of this and you'll be feeling really nice and cozy this evening, you know, while you're watching Netflix after Virtual Vino.
Yeah, well, you're right. It's a spicy wine that I think probably tends to mask the alcohol content, but it just goes with absolutely everything. And again, it goes by itself.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Great description there from Lori Ross. It has a gorgeous cherry, purple, berry, and cassis flavor with some leather and sweet spice as it sits in your mouth. Then a peppery finish. Exactly. Get a little bit of a kind of like a light pepper right at the end there for sure. Oh, hey, Steve. Yeah. A glass. Exactly. A little bit of pepper on the back. Delicious. I knew you would like it. I know it's, you know, one of your go-tos as well out there at Liquor Locker. Thanks for joining as always. Oh, Gigi, really lovely. Having it with an aged Gouda as a start. Good thinking. Exactly. Oh, great. Daniel, yes, try this one, Dan. You'll like this one. I'm loving the questions and comments, guys. Exactly. I think that this spice, especially whether you're pairing it with food or not, it really is a great accompaniment to whatever you're eating. But, you know, even never be afraid to try spicy wine, even with your spicy foods, you know, even the acidity and the tannins from that can really balance out and bring out the flavors in your food as well. And I know all of you, what kind of seafood would you pair with this one, Alex? The East Coaster, I got to ask.
I would say a piece of salmon on a grill on a wood plank. So you get that nice woody flavor of the salmon that complements the wine, or the wine complements it, or both. Yeah, that would be a good one.
That would be great. Now, for those of you that also have this, check out the color. Absolutely love the color of this wine. It has a really nice red ruby color, and then just the rim of it, you'll see is more of like a red brick, kind of a little bit lighter, a little bit brighter around the rim. It's just great to look at. It's fantastic to drink. Honestly, out of all four of my wines, I don't know what I'll have a glass with after the video tonight, but maybe I'll wine make myself.
The answer is yes.
Yeah. What wine am I having? Yes.
Yes.
Is that all of you guys' answers? Let us know in the comments. Yes. What are you drinking this weekend? Yes. But no, it's a great wine, you know, especially the medium deep, very dark red fruit colors to it make it really fantastic to taste. Great to share with your friends. I always say that, but trust me, I'm not going to say it if I don't mean it. There are some wines we'll feature where maybe don't put in that sweet wine drinker's mouth because you don't want to waste the wine, but this is definitely a good one to have your friends try out for sure. Yeah, seafood pasta. I absolutely love a crab Alfredo. I'm not saying that that's going to pair with that, but that just made me think of that.
Yeah.
It would probably pair quite nice with that.
So Jess just asked a question about what wine or what grape would you pair it to, and I think it was mistaken for a Cab Franc clone. So I think that's a pretty good one. Cab Franc is a spicy, red, full-bodied grape, and can make a full-bodied wine depending on how it's vinified. But I think that would probably be a good one.
Yeah. Now, Jess also asked, how long should this breathe? Depending.
You can certainly decant it for an hour, hour and a half, or 2 hours, but I think it would be absolutely fine after about 20 minutes. This is a wine that doesn't have to breathe like a 30-year-old wine would probably have to. It's a relatively young wine, and it's just open it up, swirl it a little bit, and you're ready.
Yep, I completely agree. All right, now does anyone have any more questions about the Señorío? Last call for questions this evening. I want to say thank you so much for everyone that joined us tonight. Alex, thanks so much for joining once again. I hope to have you back. It's always fun to see your face. Kathleen back there. And I hope I can come visit sometime. On my East Coast.
My wine. Lori,
Yeah.
The answer is yes, Lori.
Would you? Yes, absolutely. Any more questions for Bryce? Let us know. Barry suggested I chill it with a hint, maybe 65. Absolutely, Gigi. Remember, and I've said it before in a few videos, us Americans, we always drink our wines a little bit too warm. So don't be afraid to chill it. You can put it in the fridge, take it out, even a couple hours beforehand or even a half hour beforehand. Even that little bit of a chilled. Remember, these wines are stored and the winemakers want you to drink them at cellar temperature, your reds, which is way less warm than what your living room or kitchen is. So definitely don't be afraid to chill them. I absolutely love chilling reds in the summer, especially. I mean, if it's freezing cold out, then yeah, maybe I'm not going to bother, but it does really bring out the aroma and the taste to your wines, as long as you don't over chill them. Don't pull the freezer trick with your red wines. But
yeah. So a good rule of thumb is to put your red wine in the refrigerator for 30 minutes before you're going to drink it. That's it.
Yep. It'll be all good. Lori, so the average price for your Señorío in the store is about $12.99. So make sure when you go out to your store, and even if they don't carry it, ask them to contact DMV Distributing. We'll make sure they get it there as well for you to enjoy. But average price around $12.99 for you.
Yeah.
Which is great. This is a 92-point Wine Enthusiast wine for less than $15. I mean, less than $13 at that. Unheard of.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely such a great value. Now, remember, everyone, we do have a poll coming up at the end of the show. Make sure that you vote for your favorite wine of the week. I'm not going to tell you what I'm voting for. I'm going to try and vote for all four like I usually do. But thanks so much for joining us. We had so many great questions, comments tonight. I hope you all enjoy your weekends. Alex, I hope you enjoy your weekend.
I hope you do too. I look forward to seeing you down here for some oysters and some rosé. Definitely.
Yes. Come holiday time, I'm there. Maybe unannounced. We'll see. I'll just be like, oysters. Now, everyone, next week, we also have an amazing guest once again joining us. Yana, from the co-owner of Ego Bodegas Winery, is going to join me next Friday, August 7th. We are tasting 4 amazing Ego Bodegas wines. You'll remember her great stories about their labels last time. This time we have 4 more Ego Bodegas wines: the Go Verde, the Fuerza, the Time Waits for No One, and the brand new release just this past week, Go Gold. I have not even tried that one yet. I told her that I would wait for her to try it along with her next Friday. But all of 4 of those stores will post where you can find them. They're already on our next week's event page on DMV Distributing. So join us. Yana is one of the greatest guests ever, super knowledgeable, and has some of the funniest and most interesting stories from any winery that we've spoken to. So don't miss it. Add it to your calendar. Trust me, all 4 of those wines are to die for. I love the Fuerza, the Go Verde, the Time Waits for No One. I even took that to a Super Bowl party last year. And I think maybe I got half a glass and then everyone else just stole it. It's so fantastic. But the Go Gold, newly released. So if you can't find that in your local stores yet, ask them to carry it. Ask them to contact DMV. We'll try and get it to them as soon as possible next week so that you can taste it along with us. Alex, have you tried it yet?
I have not. I'm looking forward to it.
You're like me. I know. I can't wait. I told you, I pinky promised from here in the States to Spain that I would not try it without her. And it's rated a 93 by Wine Spectator already. Just hit the States this past week. So definitely join in next Friday, 7 p.m. right here on DMV Distributing. And until then, everyone, thanks to our great sponsors. Thanks to our special guest, Bryce, tonight, and Marquee Selections. Remember, support your South African wineries as well. Follow the 3 steps, drink South African wine. Well, I guess you got to pick it up at the store first. I already messed up the steps. Drink it, repeat, ask your friends to do the same. You can reshare our posts from DMV as well to all of your friends. And even when you go into the liquor store, ask them where their South African wines are. If they don't have one yet, say, what's wrong with you? Contact DMV and we'll help them out. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend. Cheers.
All right. Thanks for joining, everyone. Good seeing you.